Oh,
I
no.
think my point stands.
No. Anyway, RNG on blue side before every day is a way for me to get fired, I'm sure. RNG, you talked about the flexibility here. That's what we want to see. Game 1 goes over to RNG. They move to the blue side. We've already got the Camille banned out, and the Zoe, of course, from Shanks is well deserved. It's been one of his best champions. So getting rid of Comfort, also the Olaf, they're not willing to first pick.
So what we're going to see is Gala likely just going to go for the Kaisa. This is pretty standard at this point. In the meantime, I don't think that Jomong has actually played any Xayah, so he's going to be missing a critical counter pick that we've seen in the meta so far. I think this is a bit of a no-brainer, honestly, for RNG. I'd be very surprised if they don't just lock this in.
Okay, Kaisa there for Gala, something that, you know, I won't compare to Uzi throughout. It's, again, disingenuous, but Gala having that spark, having the Kaisa, the two go hand in hand. So, WE, now the question is, Jomong and missing, Aphelios and Thresh, question mark?
Could still be on the table. At least Jomong has played a bit of this, but they're going to leave the 80 question open. They're going to go for the Orianna instead. I like the Orianna pick just because it's such a strong team fighting pick. It's one of Shank's best champions. You can build around it quite easily. Doesn't really have any counter picks. And it also takes away RNG potential flex picks. Because we have talked about the composition that RNG has thrown in the past has been Kaisa first pick and then Orianna flex into top or mid lane.
It does feel like, though, now WE are forced to either pick up that 80 carry or jungle here with the other getting banned away. RNG have decided to pick up the jungle themselves in the Lilia. And maybe a pick that goes comfortably into the mid lane set up by Shanks. We're not really seeing the flex hovered yet, but, you know, again, mid laners that can be played top. There's Victor for RNG.
And this is an interesting one. It is considered a little bit of a counter pick to Orianna. You do outrange her and outwave clear her in the early game. So this will give them a little bit of priority. And right now, W are forming up to be a very strong front to back team. I do expect just two frontliners coming out from their last two picks, as they have scaling and they have hyper carry on their team already.
Well, you're getting rid of a part of that if you're RNG. There goes Breeze's gangplank. I talked about him being Jack Sparrow, 37 KDA, 3-0 on the pick. Something that cannot be given over if the right circumstances hit. And having a strong bottom lane with Aphelios and Thresh definitely hits hard. So I like this ban from RNG. Clement, WE deciding they don't want to give Ming too much engage. Alistar's going to follow suit.
And what we have seen from Ming is just the Gragas pick. If he doesn't get the Gragas, he probably has to pick something else this time around. We have seen some Nautilus come out, but the overall win rate has been very poor for the Nautilus versus and Kaisa combo. Another thing I'm wondering is if Ming can actually pull out the Rel. That's another common combination with the Kaisa these days.
Yep. Something that was actually banned away in the first game, and in the last series we saw banned quite a bit. Breathe going to be going onto the Nard. If you watch LCK, let me just say one thing. First of all, Nah here is actually better than it is in Korea, but only a little bit. It's evened out quite a lot and has been more of a side lane threat. Clement, you and I talked about this. Going into the Gragas, expect that Divine Sunder as we get more engaged from RNG and the Jace. Clement, where is everything going?
So the Jace is a counter pick into the Gnar. You have a very strong early game, while Gnar has to wait for his range to actually increase by level. So what we're seeing is RNG looking to play through their top side. They have a good damage spread there. In the meantime, WE going for the last pick, Udyr. Now this is really interesting. We have seen a lot of Turbo Chem Tank into Force of Nature, and you just there's nothing that WAP can do against you. It's really funny because you can walk in among their skills, you can take a bunch of damage, you'll heal up with the turtle stance, and they just can't take you down. So it's going to be incredibly annoying, and I think it is going to crowd out a lot of space that the Jace can operate in. The Jace has to play pretty careful with the Udyr around.
Yeah, he does, and I think the only thing stopping him is Lilia, right? At level 6, the Lilting Lullaby, the ability to get the Wombo in fights where Udyr operates at a very different functionality. Clement, RNG moving in with another comp involving the Gragas, right? You know, even though this time we have the Jace, Ming going to be going in on the engage. We've got his Alistar in game 1. We get the Gragas in game 2, so it's still within the realms of the composition.
This is between two hyper carry battles, essentially. We have both of them drafting fairly similar compositions. And in these situations, I typically favor the team that has stronger engage, because they have more options and neither side can really push the issue too far. With that being said, I do think that that RNG are favored just because Lilia's Lilting Lullaby and Ming's Engage are a lot stronger than their counterparts in Udyr and Thresh, which means that, you know, if there's a standoff, RNG can break the standoff a lot easier, while WE don't really have that option. So, you know, the ball's going to be in RNG's court most of the time.
It's our highlight matchup as we move into the championship weekend. RNG versus WE. We already talked about IG FPX tomorrow, and then JDG versus Top Esports. Our 2020 Grand Finals back-to-back will be coming towards you. So this week 4 is finishing off in style here in the LPL, and RNG did exactly that in Game 1. Looking to clean this series up as, you know, we do talk a little bit about the compositions running into this, Clement. I want to remind you that RNG's comp really good at controlling space as well. Like, around these objectives, I'm super curious at how RNG set up or if they even need it.
Neither of these teams have the strongest engage options, but I do like RNG's a little bit better. I think they're going to be the ones that are going to be starting most of these team fights, while W have to be the ones on position first. So W have to use lane priority that they do have a little bit of in the bottom lane, and I think they should be favored in the mid jungle just because of that Udyr pick as well. So they should use that bot lane priority, get on the Drake first, and then force RNG into risky engages. I think that's how it's going to turn out. But in the meantime, we get to see Xiaohu bully Breathe? Question mark?
Yeah, well, in the back end, Clement, he does get the beneficial trade, but using a pot now, forcing Breathe out. You already talked about this counter matchup. Shock Blast hits and gonna wait for the hammer stance, but Breathe sends out the boomerang. Minion doesn't do too much on the back end, and now Breathe in an unfavorable position. We talked about his laning and Xiaohu abusing it already. So this is a good start. This is what you want to see when you pick Jace up into this top lane.
Xiaohu really showing no fear whatsoever. This is the difference between him and Windy and Maple, is that he actually has the champion pool to become an actual top laner. You know, he plays a lot of the mages. He still has the Orianna, Ryze top, Akali top, all those mid lane mage into top lane picks, but at the same time, he can go toe-to-toe with something like Jace, which is much more of a traditional top laner.
And, you know, using a bit of the corrupting potion as well, timing his trading, just another element of how good he's been up here. I want to come back to what you were talking about a little bit before. You're talking about the jungle 2v2 and how it matters for both these teams. Just note that for RNG as well, we have double AP, so not going to be as volatile. You already talked about Beishang and Shanks adding a lot with the Udyr stun and the Orianna follow-up. We also do have an Udyr that is going to be more proactive here in this early game. Moving down to the scuttle that will be spawning, Beishang has a small CS lead. I believe he picked up a ward in the early game as he went back to the lens, so does have a small EXP lead for now until that scuttle spawns and Wei picks up his own as well.
And Udyr himself is a little bit of double AP. He is mainly AP damage, but in the early game, he of course gets a lot more auto attacks in with that Tiger form at DOT as well. So they should be a little bit more favored here. The reason that if you're going up against double AP, you can just get value out of it is usually from rune choice. You can just elect to go into the magic resistant runes, while a lot of times the enemy mid laner or the enemy jungler has to take armor rooms for camps, and you know, you just get a little bit of efficiency off that. It makes it very easy for you to itemize as well. But for now, RNG, they're just going to use that very, very strong top lane, bully Breathe out, and also take away some camps from Beishang.
Yeah, but remember, Krug's smallest Krugs are now worth 12 gold instead, so as long as he gets that, that's what matters as he pulls it down. Beishang moving pretty fast, so I'm not sure if he ended up picking that, but he's moving down towards the river, trying to interrupt Wei from backing away. His Raptors are also there, so he's going to be clearing it out and probably trying to get an advantage. Just down the bottom lane. There's a flash from Ming. Once he engaged a flash forward, we need that second skin. Ignite down and Jolmung down. RNG with first blood off the back of Gala and Ming.
Very well timed from RNG. They knew their damage numbers exactly, and unfortunately for Missing, he was standing a little bit further forward compared to Jolmung, so his dark passage actually didn't get any distance for Jolmung to run away.
Meanwhile, WE, all they can do is try and trade off the Raptors, but that too is taken by Wei in the form of the big Raptor, and Beishang backs into the river himself. That solo kill, that 2v2 solo kill rather, does go to Ming, but you get the push out and a great lane state for Gala as he backs for a serrated Dirk.
It's just the fact that Gragas can put so many plasma stacks onto you with the stun, and even at level 6, we have seen this combo from Mark where he can get 2 plasma stacks just with his high damage QR combo. Let's watch this again. Ming flashes over, missing to ensure the stun. Very well done here. Even through the ignite, they're able to, even through the exhaust, they're able to tick down Jomong, and with the heal, Ming gets out free as well. Super clean. None of Thresh's abilities were able to stop any of Gala's damage there.
NCS up in the bottom lane after the fact. The reset timing will enable WE to move to this dragon though. Beisheng here to get this first dragon. It is a nice touch, Clement, but they're still down about 1,000 gold, if I could count properly, at 6 minutes into the game. So RNG's early game definitely off to a flying start. And we'll see as we get towards the Herald timing what happens with these two junglers, because we've already got the Udyr setting up to roll into the top side. We do have priority in mixed lanes for RNG, and that Herald could really explode one of the solo laners too.
This is pretty cute coming in from Wei. He actually leeches EXP to hit level 6 on the top side. And Breathe probably senses there could be a potential 3-man here. He's going to have to walk away from his tower. He can't come in here.
Got the ward over the top, so as Wei rolls over, Shanks trying to get enough mana to get the shockwave down. Xiaohu and Wei walking into range, but Beisheng's here. He's about to go to Mega Gnar as well. Lilting Lullaby used very early, forces the flash. Xiaohu shock blast, but Shanks is here. Shockwave flashed away from by Xiaohu with good timing, and WE stopped the play after burning some summoners himself.
I was pretty impressed that RNG were able to slink away in a 2v3 situation. They were playing behind the enemy tower, and I thought Crying was going to follow up with that play just to make sure that Shanks couldn't actually get the top lane. Shanks not only, Crying not only gets the recall advantage here, his top laners actually still get out. So, you know, even though that looked pretty dicey and there was a trade for summoners, pretty well done at the end.
Their sentence doesn't hit in the bottom lane. Xiaohu backs away, and note as well with the push that came through, he was able to get some turret plating. So Xiaohu's still in a gold lead up in this top side. He'll come back to the wave before it crashes all the way into his turret. And he's been able to pick up a tier in this top lane as well. As that serrated Dirk on top, so Xiaohu in a favorable position in this matchup as you expected, Clement. The only lane that's kind of working out right now for WE is the Orianna, is the CS lead that's accrued. Also for Beisheng being able to be up on tempo in the jungle too.
Mainly has been the fact that, you know, Crying has been leaving lane a little bit more. And with Shanks, with this finally hitting level 6 and getting the ultimate down, I do want to see if they can get something out of the mid-jungle 2v2. Like we were talking about, Udyr does have a pretty strong gank into these lanes, but so far we haven't seen any exploding of the double AP coming out from the other side. They're not really going into the 2v2, and in the meantime, I feel like their side lanes, there's not a whole lot you can do in these side lanes to actually catch up to your opponent. Gragas is really mobile, and Xiaohu already has a sizable lead plus wave control, so it's going to be hard to do anything to him. I feel like if W don't break out, they will bleed quite a lot of gold.
Yeah, you're just seeing the effects of it, right? You know, Xiaohu's lane state is eventually going to push against Breathe, but for now, WE can't do too much in that top lane, so grouping around the Herald, 8 minutes 50, Clement. The Herald's sitting there waiting. I think we're going to see a bit of bloodshed as WE are putting priority on it. They've got the Scuttle Crab, but Wei, Crying, and Xiaohu are going to begin this one up.
The key things we have to watch for is the Mega Gnar bar coming in from the top side. If Breathe is going to be able to join this one at all, but in goes
what is it with the Gragas on RNG? Shanks flashing away just in time will negate the play. Missy gets stunned up as he sniped down. Gala not going to use a killer instinct yet, but the Swell Seed rolling. Missy dodges. The Lilting Lullaby still available. Crying has the Chaos Storm at the ready, using it to zone away as being body slams in once again, but the Herald has been taken. The Lilting Lullaby, now it comes down, the Shock Blast flashed away from a little bit too late. Gala into the back line. He's exposed though. WE have him, they knock him into a wall and he goes down. Gala dropping to the floor, and WE with low health bars. Do they want to continue with Shanks forward into the march? The Shockwave takes down the Jace as well. WE's health bars might not matter as Ninja Gaiden is in the front line. Way spins to win, but doesn't win until Shanks DOTs to his death. It's 2-4-2 with the cost of the Rift Herald on top.
That would have been a disaster if not for Wei going in and getting that 4-man queue on all the members of WE that were remaining right there. Honestly, RNG could have walked away from this one really cleanly. They had the flash coming out from Shanks. They got the Herald buff, but they decided to overstay for a little bit of action. And we're going to see if that has any ramifications as Jomung is now sitting on 2 kills. Let's go through this again. As we were talking about in pregame, RNG do have the engage advantage. They are the ones that can pull the trigger whenever they want to. And, you know, they forced off W with the first ultimate. I think this is definitely a mistake from Gala. He flies over the ramp. Breathe still catches him out with the Arc W combo here. And then everyone else has to run away. This is just pure disaster. And I felt like it could have been a lot worse for RNG. If Missing managed to land some of this hook, but Wei goes in and 1Q finds the double.
If Wei doesn't engage and make the play there, WE happy to trade the Herald for the kills they picked up, but RNG have the Herald. They have 2 kills onto Wei. He has the Zhonya's Hourglass instead of the Moonstone Renewer as his first item. Remember, we have been seeing a lot of Moonstone, but we'll see with the lead he's accrued what happens next. They're also going to pick up the Dragon, so for RNG, 1,000 gold up off the back of this man, and this is going to be a good Dragon to pick up too, with Mountain spawning next. That's going to be a Mountain Soul onto the Rift. One WE definitely want to enhance their front line. But Clement, what happens now? Where do you want to see the Herald, and how do you use it to enable RNG?
So I think for RNG, the Herald definitely should go into the bottom side of the map. I think this is where they are strongest in terms of making plays. Ming can blast someone out of tower range, and they can also have teleports funneling in because they have such a massive advantage from Xiao coming on the top side as well. Now, they probably won't have the actual TP to make use of it, but they definitely can rotate Xiao into the mid lane and have Crying come more towards the bottom side. I feel like they have been overall stronger when they play around the bot, but you know what? RNG might just go for some early gold right now. They're going to drop the Herald now.
Yahoo's 30 CS up, so why not? Running in, Beishang actually going to go to Mega Gnar. Lilting Lullaby used as he goes golden with the Sonic Hourglass, waiting for Crying to come in. The sweet spot hit as well. Watch out, Eep indeed. Breathe will drop first. Swellseed dodged away from the Udyr, who turns into a giant turtle. But this is a win for RNG. They get the dive, they get the gold down, and they back away.
And Breathe falls once more. It's really surprising to see Xiaohu do so well against our top laners in the LPL. You know, he put Bin in, let's be honest, in the bin against Suning, and now he's doing it against Breathe as well. Getting a lot of help in the process, but definitely having the matchups to push them in, and he's going to be able to take away this first break. I don't think there's anything Breathe can do about it. So right now, RNG's bot lane, they just need to hold.
Yeah, they do. They're taking a bit of damage, though, with the Infernum Gravitum combination. This is what Aphelios does. He's got the Noon Quiver. Xiaohu gets first turret in the top side. That's a almost 3,000 gold lead at 13 minutes. A little bit under, 2.5. But Xiaohu getting the solo gold on this Jace. Now, this is a perfect position for an early game player like the Jace, like Xiaohu. And so he's in a very favorable position.
Yep, he's also going to go for the Eclipse as the first Mythic. Very strong in the side lane split push. And, you know, I really feel like Gala's charge into the enemy jungle changed the course of this game, because Jomung is now sitting with 2 extra kills that he really shouldn't have been able to get.
Yep.
And with those 2 kills, he's able to bully out the bottom lane coming in from RNG. This is a situation where we see all the RNG members are trying to address right now as they funnel towards bot.
If Gala can tag him out, everyone from RNG moving down. Nothing here in terms of objective, just the hope of finding a Jomung without flash. He's got about a minute until that summoner comes up. Gala the same, and RNG, they're not giving up.
Xiao has such massive amounts of priority over the top lane. If you look at where Breathe is farming, he has to stay underneath his second tower. W might get a little bit of damage, but I'm not sure about using the ultimates here. Everyone's so far away.
Yeah, the box was to delay, but Ming was already out, and they stopped the body slam. They felt good about that, but missing now without that ulti is going to be a big deal. Still not the slowest of all the cooldowns, but we'll see if RNG can catch them unawares before the next fight comes through. But as they see everyone commit, Clement, they just move to the mid lane.
Really easy rotate coming in from Xiaohu. Oh, and Shanks, he was just trying to clear the wave. I have no doubt that was the situation there.
Yep.
He does get that done, but they still lose a bunch of turret HP for their troubles. And RNG are just juggling their winning lanes better, you know, like this bottom lane hasn't been broken apart. If we look at the turret gold, we're seeing Xiaohu sitting at 5 stacks, 480 gold, all for himself.
Yeah, this is a really nice to see. He's got the Eclipse as well. Leandri's on the other mid laner in Crine. Crine actually level 11. Down 15 CS against Shanks, but he picked up the kill and a couple assists earlier. And that's what's making the difference here. And he's also got the tier stacked at 300. A little bit better than Shanks too. So definitely feels like he's going to be more impactful. And Clement, I didn't ask you about scaling. Scaling's always a question that needs to be put into comparison. As RNG start the Herald, it does feel like there is a talk that maybe should be mentioned a bit later. Beisheng's not moving into position, but they do have a ward down.
Yeah, and W are finding it pretty difficult to actually walk into this river, especially this Death Pixel Brush here. Ming has that entirely covered. So despite dropping 3 pinks, W don't find any purchase near the Herald. And we are going to see the mid lane terror just go down here. There's no reason for RNG to back out of this one.
Missing good dodge away. Shock Blast as well, but that almost hit pretty hard. This will get a full charge. Turret will go down indefinitely. Does RNG pick up 100 gold spread nicely throughout? Or rather, probably a little bit less than that. W managed to kill the Herald, and it's right before Dragon spawns, 5 seconds until the mountain is. That Shock Blast that keeps poking them down so that RNG can get a free objective.
This is the key moment for WE. They have to make a stand or lose their entire map. It's already in the position when RNG can start to snowball things and just group together in siege with the priority they have from Xiaohu. So W have to find the pick at this point. I'm looking at the ultimate from Shanks and Breathe, if they can line that up together.
But on the other side, Wei and Xiaohu. Lilting Lullaby makes it a definite Shock Blast. Crime may have been caught out. Beisheng takes the ball, but the flash doesn't make it worthwhile, or rather the Shockwave. There's the Chaos Storm again. The explosive cast was a little early from Ming. And now they're on the chase of Beisheng, but it's an Udi. It's like Singe, you don't chase him. RNG, have they done enough to secure the Dragon?
Udyr plus Orianna is not a good ball delivery system. I don't know what it is with today's teams, but we've seen this twice, and it just is so underwhelming. Really good on Gala to get away from the Shockwave. He's not going to get caught up by that one. RNG are able to sneak away the Drake with minimal resistance, and they'll likely take the bottom lane tower as well.
Yeah, they will. The poke continues to come through. Xiaohu is just such in a good position. Sorry, today English not too great. As this turret will go down, you mentioned. We've got a lot more gold going onto the side of RNG. And you've got the Mountain now in hand. A 4,000 gold lead at 18 minutes in the game. And you know, I'm sure we're about to take a look at the replay of what happened with the poke out. But RNG just got them down so low that it ended up being a free Dragon.
W in that situation, they had to be the first ones on the Drake because they had less engage tools to sort of cut off on RNG. They basically had to force RNG to walk into them. And what happened there was, like, even though they were in position, their turnaround didn't really work. RNG kept their distance, they used the poke correctly, and we saw Beisheng trying to get in onto Gala. It doesn't work out. They blow multiple ultimates. They have to escape through the ramp, and they also lose priority on the bot lane. So massive...
Okay, flash burn by Ming. Gonna pause, Clement. Beisheng is gonna start the engage. They want to find this Gragas. He's not too tanky as a support. Everyone's there, but they tunnel right into a single position. The flash away from Xiaohu dodges, but Crine doesn't. Lilting Lullaby onto 2 members. Sets up for the Jace, and it's Xiaomong and Shanks. The 2 biggest members have just been eliminated. Down the Udyr will go as well, and John Deere Tractors, they're more sturdy than that as the triple kill has been given over to Gala. He won't find the Penta. Wei will take down Missing with the sweet spot in the end. Breathe, the last remnant of this team, and WE have given everything to RNG.
That was a 1-for-5 trade in favor of RNG. I'm getting those Uzi 2018 vibes all over again. What was known as the unscientific team fights, where you're down a member, but you still are able to carry through the finish line because of that better play. There were so many good moments coming down to that one. Xiaohu flashing out of the Shockwave, the Lilting Lullaby on multiple members, and Wei just going in, allowing Gala to come up with the finish on the Killer Instincts for the triple kill, I believe there. This is RNG at peak performance. This is what they were known for when they were at their height. Those incredible teamfight moments.
Clement, we had V5 versus RNG recently, and we wanted to know which way. We know from this fight that this is the way. As RNG, it was Ming who baited and drew everyone from WE.
They did use a lot of ultimates here. They definitely held on, but RNG just played so much better on the back half of this fight. Look at Wei as he flashes in. He gets the double on the Lilting Lullaby. Xiao dodges out on the ultimate. He goes into the back line. The back and front line are completely cut off on WE's side. They are actually backward on the Rift, and with the tools onto RNG, they're able to get the better engages, get the better positioning in these team fights. You know, Hysterics, you were asking me which side had the better scaling. Yeah. And with team comps like this, where the compositions are very similar in terms of having double hyper carries, having double control mages, I think the real difference is in the toolkit, the engage potential coming out for both. And RNG just, they're able to reposition so much more easily and start fights so much more decisively compared to WE that I feel like I have to give them the advantage.
It's the amount of engages you mentioned. It's also the ability to lock down, you know, Crying, Wei, the Lilting Lullaby makes so much sense for this comp, and RNG feeling confident enough with his 6k gold lead to start the Baron at 21 minutes in the game.
Looking at Beishang, he doesn't have the flash, so he has to walk across the ramp to get this one. I think he's going to be too late, and Ming is zoning.
Explosive cast, Smite's going to come down, and there we go, secured by RNG. The explosive cast was great zoning, as you mentioned, and WE now, without the Baron, have to force themselves to find a pick, find a window in this game. It's getting so much harder to leverage.
And RNG definitely know how to play against defensive compositions like WE themselves drafted. They run with basically the same thing, but better engage. And, you know, RNG with Tabe, they're just such an experienced team when it comes to figuring out what they, what the matchups are between the compositions. I don't feel like I've seen RNG actually feel behind in the draft at all through this split. You know, they've always recognized conditions and drafted around them. They had the flex picks to counter in all different positions. Especially this Gragas is, you know, I never like it when you give RNG Gragas. They're way too good on this champion. They've been good on this champion for multiple years, and just too many members on the squad play around it.
Yeah, it's been like a great LPL pick that's always been relevant to support of RNG to at least one player within this team. You talk about a team fighting team in the past. RNG have been able to utilize it best as WE actually started the Dragon, but look mid. Look at what's happening with the Baron buff. You're giving up so much to take this Dragon away, and RNG are going to delay them. All 5 members are here with only Shanks being able to back away from Vision. Swellseed's going to connect onto Missing, and RNG don't mind taking the fight. They've got the support into a nap time. He gets exploded as they turn it into the wall. Jomong's flying in on top of Crying. RNG have blown the base wide apart with the inhibitor going down, and Wei still committing. Ming over the wall, wants a body slam, hits some blind into Beishang, setting for the barrel roll to slow them down. Wei re-engaging, spinning to win with phase rush, re-engage, Gala flies in. It's the shock blast of heavens, as Xiaohu will also find his mark. That's it for RNG. They'll get mid inhib and they'll teleport into the base.
That was such a goddamn smart play from RNG. They play with the fork, 2-man into the mid, and 3-man there against WE because they know WE don't have any engage. The Udyr can't catch up with anyone. Missing has to flash to chance for a hook, and it all goes sideways.
Teleporting in, can he get out? Oh, it's one auto away. Shanks will manage to survive, and you saw Xiaohu thought, well, Missing's alive. I'm not going to do anything. Kind of sad to see, but he'll rotate to the top side and with the rest of this Baron, get yet another turret up the next wave channels in, or at least put some damage down. But RNG turning a fight after they push for mid. This is all but over, it feels like, unless WE can find something here. Exhaust put down the play there, and Xiaohu knows he's dead. So kill going to be given over with a 45-second death timer of the top laner.
At least they finally get something back. That must have been so frustrating for WE to watch. RNG goes in on you again and again, and you just don't have the crowd control to lock anyone down. Like, Ming is coming at you over the wall without the Zhonya's. He's perfectly willing to do that.
That was not a good body slam. Explosive cast into Ming. They actually tag with the Void Seeker as well. Missing getting hit down by the Chaos Storm. A couple of more ticks thanks to the Locket. He might survive. as the tick over from the ultimate loses movement speed, and RNG looking for that other pick that'll set them up for the push in.
And they're willing to do this 4v5, which is the astounding part on the map right now. Xiaohu goes down, doesn't even matter. The rest of the members are far enough ahead with that 9k gold advantage that they're willing to play very, very loose at this point.
What else can you do if you WE? You know, Clement, you already talked about scaling. I know a lot of people will be confused about, like, oh, we have a Felios, we have an Orianna, and the Nar Wombo. But you already talked about the interaction that RNG have and how hard it is for WE to actually get on this comp too. Relies on the pick, relies on being able to take out one member. WE getting a numbers advantage, but here the defense. They have wave clear, but again, pick potential from Ming is something we have to watch out for.
Missing has to be the hero right here. He needs to land the hook of his life to drag WE back into this game. And right now, it just hasn't seemed like he's been able to find his mark, even with the flash expended. And RNG, they have enough poke tools here to just sit in front of WE. You know, they're not really afraid of this enemy composition. The turbo chem tank was just blown, and they still didn't find an engage.
Remember that Beishang on Udyr, another problem we see with this pick is Udyr is super telegraphed, even with the flash. You know he's going to run at you with bear stance and try and get the stun off and set up for the rest of his team. So it's predictable as to his pathing, as Missing is getting chunked out heavy. The Swell Seed hits the wall before it can get rolling. And now the next wave for RNG, they're going to try and force this one as Cryin is nowhere nearby but has the TP. A lot of wave clear thanks to Infernum, and it's making it hard for RNG to do anything as Beishang is going to flash. We talked about that. Body Slam not going to be used and rather misses. Gala flashes away for effect. Xiaohu goes on in. He's been caught out as he does his burst damage. Now has to leave back to the fountain for another 45 seconds, and WE keep the game going.
A pretty big fail on Xiaohu's part. Gala was able to get away with that one, and they should have been able to get that free kill that Beishang was sending into them. Instead, they trade 1-for-1, and, you know, congratulations to WE. They get a reprieve here.
At the very least, some pressure that is relented for now. But Baron coming up in 30 seconds. Xiaohu's timer works with that. Dragon's up in 40, and it's a solve for neither of these teams. As well, look at how we got caught out and kind of made that blunder again.
Yeah, this is so forced from Beishang. Incredibly difficult to find Gala as a target, but it doesn't matter, you know, Xiaohu goes in. I like Wei's reaction right here. He's just standing in the sidelines going like, hey bro, I think this is a little bit too early, man. Chill.
True. Xiaohu was hoping for something with the Edge of Night already picked up. I believe it was on cooldown from before. But I want everyone to point out that, or rather look, that Baron is now up. Dragon's there, but again, not Soul, so RNG eyes on the prize. WE in position. Beishang just burned his flash again. So he's behind the pit, Missing hoping for a Hook of Dreams. Gets on the Baron, explosive cast, but Smite is secured. And another Baron over to RNG.
And this is another reason I feel like Gragas is just too much of an advantage to RNG. The way RNG likes to draft and how they drafted back in 2018 is that they had a number of champions they were very, very familiar with and they could flex pick with. And they just picked them over and over again to the point that everyone on the team knew how to use those tools and had those calculations in their head about how the explosive cast was going to play out. And this is what you see from them over and over again, is that they're willing to play super aggressive onto objectives because they know they can deny people with the explosive cask. And to be honest, they do the same thing with Rise as well. We saw a lot of times with RNG on Rise, they just pushed as a 5-man super deep into one lane and then instantly teleported back with the Realm Warp, 5-man the Baron.
It's been smart macro play throughout. And Clement, I was just looking at the item choice. I'm not sure if I have time. Missing gonna hit there. That's a 3-man, 2-man. Lilting Lullaby, excuse me. Ming waiting for the engage. Missing almost gets burnt down as Wei flashes out. Shanks coming in with the TP2. They're gonna be cautious as Nara against the wall on the Zonya's timing. Missing flashes himself. Shockwave burnt late. Xiaohu takes him down. Missing saves one but not the other. And WE now down 3 members in an instant. WE are gonna get pushed in hard and RNG are gonna try and end the game.
This just looks like child play for RNG. They're just outmatching W. It's really fun to watch all these skirmishes and these team fights as RNG consistently dances around WE members. W just don't have the lockdown to kill anyone. They're starting this team fight without their AD carry. They don't find a single target that they can take even below half HP, and RNG walk away the series to remain undefeated in the LPL.
5-0 for RNG, 5-1 for WE now. A lot of people thought that WE, were the better team coming into this, that WE are meant to be a top 3 team. And, I thought so too, Clement. RNG are a team right now on fire. Ming, big smile on his face as a top laner. He's working out. A 2-0 for RNG, not what I expected, but a good performance all the same. And it is, nice to see the camaraderie coming through as well. I think seeing that RNG in this form could do many things in the LPL. RNG in this form versing IG on the very last game before Chinese New Year is something we now have to start getting hyped up for.
The thing that's so crazy for me is RNG weren't even a playoff team last split. And this 2021 season, they only added weight to their roster. So I wasn't expecting a lot, especially when I heard Xiaohu going into the top lane. I was thinking, oh my god, please don't run this experiment anymore. We've seen how this one ends up. It always ends up poorly. But Xiaohu is able to pull it out. This team looks like they have found their footing, and they're just playing so smart around the top side. This is something that we would have never seen with Uzi around. They never